Well, hello all. Alright, another day. Some good news. My next surgery has been approved. I've been very worried about that because it's taken so long. COVID has really messed up the medical establishment. They're having trouble getting surgeries approved and that sort of thing because so many people in the medical industry has quit because of COVID. They didn't want to get it. So, unfortunately, a lot of us had our surgeries postponed and postponed. Finally, mine's okay. Now, what we have to do is get the paperwork all finished in the medical establishment, and we're off to get one of the worst surgeries you can do as a male. And I have all the confidence that I'll pull through. So, that's good news. Now, I read an article about where did the Green New Deal go, and I can tell you where it went. It went to the fossil fuel industry. The arms industry. The money that was supposed to go to the Green New Deal is going to Ukraine for missiles and training and more ammunition and that sort of thing. Like, we have to be involved with this military expenditure so that Russia doesn't take Ukraine. But let me tell you something that's just as important as the environment. And deleting the Green New Deal or any other environmental movement or expenditures is bad news for all of us. A lot of the article talked about how they were going to try and get people off of the garbage food that we're being fed. The endless corn syrup that's being fed to the people in the U.S. High fructose corn syrup and all the processed foods. It's causing this obesity problem. It's pretty much been noticed that the studies have shown that eating high fructose corn syrup causes overweight. Even if you do all the exercise in the world, you're still going to get overweight by eating this stuff. So it's not up to the government to stop eating this stuff. It's up to each and every one of us to stop consuming all the garbage meat that comes from Brazil and the cheap fast food and all the additives they put in it and the degradation to the Amazon because of people wanting their cheap fast food. And they don't really care to hear anything about that. So they don't want to hear it and they click it off. But it's so important to hear what really is the truth. The truth isn't going to hurt you. The truth isn't going to hurt you to stop eating high fructose corn syrup and eating properly on a real diet of food, not processed foods that is causing the Amazon to be denuded of nutrients in the soil. I'm going to go up over here and we're going to do a video on what's happening to the soils around the world because of our processed foods and our farming practices. So the fog is in really thick today, lots of dripping, and pretty warm though, very humid and drippy. But we'll try and do the video anyway. The most precious resource to humans is topsoil. We must have topsoil to grow our food. Half of the topsoil on Earth has been lost in the last 150 years. Soil quality is affected by compaction, loss of soil structure, nutrient degradation, and soil salinity. Loss of fertile land has led to increased pollution and sedimentation in streams and rivers. This is causing declines in fish and other species in our rivers and streams. Keep the water off the camera. So when a tractor goes over the land, it compacts it. And even though they disc it, that only discs about the first 12 inches or 8 inches. And then, boy, the dripping is something else. More dripping on the camera. Put my hand over it. It's even dripping on my notes. Causes of erosion, deforestation, overgrazing, the use of agricultural chemicals, and the increased flooding because of these problems. Agrochemicals changes soil composition and disrupts the balance, the microorganisms in the soil. This stimulates the growth of harmful bacteria in the soil. Most agricultural plants cannot hold the soil from blowing away in the wind. Coffee, cotton, palm oil, soybeans, and wheat all cause soil erosion because it doesn't have enough structure to hold the soil in place. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff like palm oil, soybeans, don't need to be grown. Those are crops that just add problems to our soils and need to be stopped immediately to save what is left of our topsoil. The warmer we get, the more wind there's going to be and the more erosion, and the harder the rain is going to fall, causing more erosion and more degradation to our streams and rivers, killing off important fish and other aquatic animals in these areas. Unfortunately, this is all part of the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal was going to deal with this here in the U.S., but unfortunately, the Republicans and Democrats don't want to have it. They want to spend the money on fossil fuels because the fossil fuel companies give them money, and of course the arms industry, which also gives them loads of money into their pockets and contributions to their next campaign to get into office. That's all that's important to these people. Now, I stressed this in my last video. Boy, did I get hell for it. People don't want to hear the truth. They just want to believe what they want to believe and nothing else. They do not want to hear that their politicians are causing soil erosion and soil degradation, which means that our food quality is going to go down because there's not enough nutrients in the soil to give us the quality of food that we need to sustain ourselves. And the more we'll eat more processed corn and soybean meal. And most of the diets of people in the U.S. is corn and soybeans. If you look at the ingredient list, you'll find that that's mostly what you're eating. It's those two components, and that's it. People don't want to hear that. They just do not want to hear that. They want to hear that what they're eating that tastes good is important. The reason it tastes good is because it has sweeteners in it, and it's not really as good as you think it is. When you should be eating the nutritional food and not cause it, which does not cause erosion to our soils as much as these other things like our soybeans and canola oil, that sort of thing. All those fake human-made GMO crops which are causing erosion to our precious topsoils. We must start looking at the ingredient list of what we're eating and what we're doing to our soil, our topsoil, to our farmland, and try and do something to mitigate it by avoiding eating fast food, for one thing. Fast food is one of the #1 causes of soil erosion on the planet. So there you go. You don't really need that cheap artificial meat that's grown in Brazil where the jungles used to be. The grasses that they plant instead of the jungle doesn't hold the soil in at all. And these hard rains come and wash both the soil and the grass away. And then the nutrients are gone. So what they do is they go cut more jungle for their cattle to graze on. And it's a vicious cycle. It just keeps going and going and going. And you end up with more and more degraded soils around the world. And it takes hundreds or thousands of years to build up 1 inch of topsoil. It's not something that just immediately comes back. Putting artificial chemicals in the soil to make our artificial food grow is not going to help the soil at all. All you're doing is killing off our soil environment. You'll find that if you go to any farmland and dig down, you'll not find worms and all the different animals, species that are in the soil that build the soil, keeps the soil loose so that plants can easily get their roots down in the soil. Moles, gophers, and that sort of thing are necessary for are absolutely necessary for the protection of our soils. But we're trained to get rid of gophers and moles and that sort of thing in our gardens because it may kill a plant here and there, because that's what they do. They come up and eat the roots of the plants, and that's what keeps them going. But their digging causes soil looseness and keeps the health of the soil so that the plants will continue to grow. You may lose a plant here and there, but they'll quickly regrow if the soil's in good enough shape and in good health. So I'm going to get out of all this dripping and wetness, but I definitely do appreciate any of the comments, especially the ones in the last video and this video. What are you doing to stop soil erosion by what you eat? That's how you're going to do that, is stop eating crap GMO foods. corn and soybeans. Those are not good for you, and they're not going to help the soil at all. And until next time.